So hello and welcome back to the Improvement Season podcast. This is me, Pascal Steve. On the other end, it is Steve Hall. I'm just talking that way because I'm still sick and I have a fun time just like playing a little bit with my voice. Hello, Steve. How are you doing?
I was going to do you did like the deep podcast voice intro.
Hello.
I am Steve Hall. Hello and welcome to the Revive Stronger Improvement Season podcast. How is everyone doing today?
I mean... I mean, some people do it very well, where it's just like an automated thing. You don't really think that it's sounding off. But if I had to speak that way, I don't know.
That level of energy is something else. I'm not made for it.
To be honest, though, I have a friend who's also called Pascal, who is like 2 meters tall, and his voice is crazy. And he is someone who speaks kind of for commercials and all that kind of stuff, you know? And I would love to also have something like this, but especially maybe being a dub voice actor for something like anime or so. That would be fucking amazing.
Yeah, that would be actually really cool. That would be well cool. I don't even know what they look for in those sort of voices, but I imagine there's also a job that like selects people for this thing. Like it's crazy.
I heard because I was working in that industry for a while. That was back in... I don't really recall the exact year. It may have been 2011 or 2013. I'm not entirely certain. I was actually working for MTV for a year. That was part of my apprenticeship. And during that time, that was in acquisitions, and that was mainly about kind of dubbing shows that we imported and dubbing them for then the German television. And what I heard was that it's only a selected group of actors, voice actors that are very much known amongst that group and always kind of play to each other of like, hey, I've heard someone else is looking for kind of vitamin B, you know, only getting in there via contacts. I don't know how it is in London or in the UK. I could see that market is way bigger than in Germany, but it was a very, very niche community and it's super hard to actually get a foot in there. I heard. I mean, don't know whether it's just like a rumor or not.
It's like you get like foot models and hand models. I don't know.
There's one German actor. There's one German actor though who is doing lots of dubs for anime, and he is also dubbing or has dubbed the voice of Katakuri from One Piece, and he is recording videos of himself. So a little bit more like because he's also an actor, right? And this is kind of promoting himself, and I know that he has gone viral due to some kind of recordings. And he's also voicing, or is the German voice of Reiner from Attack on Titans as well.
So wait, this is something I was going to lead on to, because the dubbing... So because for you, when something's dubbed, it's in German, right? Whereas I'm thinking, so there's so many actually different voice actors that have to get in there, because I'm hearing, when I think of dubbed, I think of English. And of course... I don't know if you listen to the English. Well, I imagine you more so like to just see subs. Is that right? Or do you dub?
Not so much. I prefer dubs because the thing is, when it comes to animation, dubbing things doesn't really then make that much of a difference of whether it is in English or in German. However, when it comes to like a normal movie, like, I don't know, I can't think of any kind of movie right now. Let's say Interstellar, for example. I hate it when there are live animations being dubbed in German because they are doing in my opinion, such a piss poor job. Because in acting, I think the emotions are also represented then in the voice itself. And it's super hard to replicate that if you have like a great actor there. And also in German television and dubbing, the voice is often boosted so much more than the atmosphere around the actors in English movies. And often, I think it's an important part of everything. It's kind of an interplay. And if someone is messing with that, it destroys the entire movie, in my opinion. That's why I only listen and watch English movies and original movies, kind of. And when it comes to animes, there's not really that much of a difference because English was dubbed as well. Even Japanese was dubbed as well, you know, and that's why I prefer actually than watching on English, but I am often too impatient to wait up until the English dub versions come out. Good thing is now, Chainsaw Man, for example, they are very much on it when it comes to dubbing. They are just like 2 episodes behind, and I'm just now waiting for them, the dub versions. I already watched 2 episodes of the sub versions and saw that they are now already on it. And this is the beauty about something like Crunchyroll, because they are just like, they are on it because they know that people want this.
Yeah. I think I checked out the other day, and I could just see there was still just the subbed version. So I hadn't watched Chainsaw Man yet, but I have heard good things about Chainsaw Man.
It is a different anime, that's for sure.
Yeah,
I can definitely see that it's not for everyone because it's not the typical shonen. That's for sure.
Like, actually, as I was speaking to my tattoo artist, I just got a tattoo, and he's an anime complete geek. He was talking me through what Death Note is. I'd heard about Death Note, but I haven't seen it. And
You've never watched it yet?
No, I've never watched it. So it's like a psychological, more thriller type of thing. It doesn't have your typical shonen character. So
I'm quite certain that at some point in one of our episodes, we were asked what our favorite animes are. And it must have been like already 1 or 2 years ago, and I even said Death Note is one of them. So yeah,
I've heard of it and I've seen it, but I haven't watched it.
I watched it, I think, already 4 or 5 times.
Oh man.
Yeah, because it's such a well-written development there. I don't want to spoil anything or anything. I like it in case someone like you hasn't watched it, but it's incredible in my opinion. Especially the first part of Death Note is a little bit better written than the second part. Just the interaction between the main characters in the first arc, it is incredible. And this was the first anime that I watched with Katie to get her into watching anime.
This is funny, and this might be the last point so we can talk about fitness a little bit, but this was the one he recommended that I watched with Charlotte, because she likes like psychology and thrillers, and murder mysteries, and so it's more along those lines. He said, than like I like the typical shonen character, and like Naruto and Dragon Ball have been great, and Hunter x Hunter. I doubt Charlotte will like those ones, but she might like this one. He was like, "There's an anime for everyone. This might be the one that she gets her into it." And I was like, "Okay, let's see."
I mean, anime is not just all about shonen, right?
No, exactly.
So yeah.
Any other news on your end? You're sick still?
Yeah, I'm still sick. Man.
You're still training though, right?
I got back into training, yes.
Yeah.
Training sessions aren't really the greatest, but at the same time, I'm just a stubborn fuck. And I don't have a coach by my side who tells me like, no, it may be better to recover and rest up, heal up. And especially the first 3 sessions that I did, like starting last week on Friday, I should have waited a little bit longer. That's for sure. I should have just taken like an extended deload phase, to be honest. Right. I'm right now getting back and feeling better. So today was kind of the first session where I felt all right in the session. And the sessions before that was just like a drag. And the heat building up super quickly inside your body and not feeling good, not feeling able to really push well and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, I'm just sharing that. I don't want to come across like a hypocrite or so, because we are always then trying to objectively talk about recommendations, what to do, etc., etc. And then I'm doing those things that I'm not recommending myself. But I want to also transparently share that these are just, I don't know, things that we're doing as well.
We're all human. We can't be perfect. It makes me think of that kind of situation, because I think a lot of bodybuilders are that kind of, well, let's call us hard-headed. We just kind of want to follow a plan to a fault. And it's kind of similar, like, I don't know, say you've got a target number of reps to achieve with a load, and you do like 2 or 3 like cheat reps that aren't very productive. You'd actually be better off not doing those and maybe even doing, I don't know, another set, or just being able to recover more. And it's kind of like you'd probably benefit more than doing those training sessions, being like, oh, actually, let's call this a bit of an active recovery period where I maybe get a little bit of resensitization. Maybe I don't have to do like an active recovery for a long period of time. Actually better to do that, but it's very hard, or like you've got a slight niggle of an injury. It's better in the short term to like manage that and take the hit than potentially long term cause a problem. But it's so easy to like, as long as you get your big rocks in place, like what you're doing now is not the worst thing to do. Certainly maybe there's a better thing you could have done, but we're all human and it's hard to stop sometimes.
Yeah, and also I'm not putting myself or anyone else in danger. I just don't have good productive sessions, and by that, probably I'm extending the recovery period a little bit more than necessary, to be honest. But it's not that I have a sickness that has a detrimental impact on my overall physiology when I'm now continuing to train. And just because COVID happened and all that kind of stuff, I mean, this is a viral infection that then can travel to the heart if you're not careful and cause kind of heart damage. And there are certain other bacterial and also viral infections that have something like this as well. And this is why people recommend then of actually really resting so that you're not causing any kind of long-term damage. Right now, I'm at a point where I don't think that I'm causing any kind of long-term damage to my health or to anyone around me anymore. And that's why I think it's absolutely all right to go in, while it's not the most smart thing to be doing, because it could be that if I had rested for another 2 days, I would have already been fully recovered or so, or at least to the point where I have better workouts. And then if you look at things, in a zoomed out perspective, it would have been better this way than maybe the things that I'm doing right now. But overall, it's not that is going to make that much of a difference right now.
Yeah, there's I talked about this a little bit to Mike in the Q&A. It's going to come out. I think there's a fine line between being like a soft touch and being like, oh no, I'm a little bit like I got a bit of a tickly throat and it's a little bit sore. It's like, yeah, but can you go into the gym and have a productive workout? And is that going to make it worse by you doing that training session? If it's a no, then you're just being a baby and like get on with it. It's like if you have a bad night's sleep, it's like, did you have like 1 hour sleep or did you get 5? And maybe it should have been like nearer to like 7+. It's like, oh, if it was a couple hours less, you're still probably going to be able to have a fine session, just catch up with it. So it's like there's this point of which it's like, and when you slide past this point, now you're worth like resting or whatever it is. But there's like a margin where it's like a little bit kind of, yeah, sometimes life isn't going to be perfect. You just have to kind of push through. And if you can still like have a productive session, it's probably good to go and do that.
Exactly. I mean, then you're splitting hairs, and then at some point in the future, you won't really look back and be like, oh shit, that one time I started my training session 2 days earlier and I shouldn't have done that. That's not what you will think. Of course, on the flip side, there will be times where it really is better to stay at home, because the so-called things about long-term consequences, and the same goes then for something like, I don't know, an injury or so. If you have a severe injury, it's probably better to then really not be stubborn about it. Take the time and get back to things when you're fully healed up and ready to go. Same goes then for also severe sickness or so. But if you have like a minor cold, I think that if you then jumping back into the gym like 1 or 2 days earlier and you realize, oh, that wasn't really the best decision, probably you're still good.
You just learn, don't you, from that?
Yeah.
It's like you said, you got a little bit of a niggle. You do your leg session. It wasn't like horrendous pain, but you're like the next day you're like, oh, my knee doesn't feel better. It's like, oh, I probably shouldn't be doing that now. I should pull back a little bit. Sometimes you have to like push to kind of get that feedback to know where you are. So
it's just,
I think that's fair.
It's just such a joke in how often I'm sick ever since
it is
the kids. I mean, oh, wait a second, what's going on here? Ah, there I am. Something happened here with my cable, apparently. But yeah, also clients of mine. I introduce myself, introduce then the weekly check-in, and I'm just like, sorry in advance again. I'm sick. Sorry. Right? And they are just like, what the fuck is going on, man? Ever since we were working together, you are sick kind of, I don't know. It feels like every single time that we're checking in, you're sick.
Yeah, it's if it can be a regular like 6-week occurrence, then I think it's like I could just about get on board with it, because it's like at least that's 6 weeks or 5 weeks. Like 5 weeks of good training or whatever. But if it was like every other week, I would be like, I don't know, get rid of the kids.
To be very honest and very upfront, it fucking sucks. It annoys me big time. And this is one of those things that I fucking hate about having family and kids at home. And this sounds very awful, saying this out loudly, but it's just the absolute truth. It fucking pisses me off. And I know this is coming from a very privileged place, where other people aren't even having kids. They would love to have kids, or they would love to have someone by their side, or anything alike, right? But at the same time, it pisses me off, and I can't help it. If I had the chance between picking and choosing one or two, like not being sick, having kids, or being sick the entire time, having kids, I would, of course, always choose not being sick at all.
Yeah. The only things, whenever I look into this in terms of things you can do to avoid getting sick or get over sickness, is like, to avoid getting sick, you basically just need to eat a shit ton of garlic. From the scenes of things, it seems to have benefits.
Really?
Do you eat any garlic? Yeah, apparently.
Yeah, we have garlic. So there was now a period of time where I didn't really have much garlic, but there was a time during the cutting phase where I was actually having a lot of garlic, just because I was then also cooking my shrimps, and in garlic it's just amazing, to be honest.
Apparently it's to help reduce the chance of sickness. I have this from Examine, if people want to look, examine.com.
But have you really noticed a difference though?
Oh, I barely ever eat garlic, but I don't really get sick anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But it's basically 9 grams of raw garlic cloves like a day can help reduce the chance of getting sick. 9 grams is like, I don't know how many cloves, like 4?
Yeah, the thing is, then you have to actually make a compromise. Do you want to smell so badly? Probably it's not good. Steve, I have a theory. It's not that garlic itself, exactly, that garlic itself is actually then the reason for you not getting sick, but you just like push everyone else away from you. No one wants to actually get close to you. And maybe your family is actually leaving you, and then all of a sudden you're not sick anymore.
You can also do aged garlic extract. I don't know how easy it is to get these things. Or you can take, I think you can take like garlic pills maybe. I have actually got some because I was meant to take it and I didn't even do it in contest prep because I was like, as a preventive thing, why don't I just
still work though? I would be curious about this, because the same goes for something like caffeine pills versus caffeine itself. Apparently there is scientific literature around kind of coffee and then having kind of beneficial effects on health markers. Whereas when you just consume caffeine itself or caffeine pills, that doesn't really come with it. So the assumption is then that there's maybe a combination between something in the coffee and then the caffeine that then causes some beneficial health markers. Whereas when you're just consuming kind of processed caffeine, it doesn't really provide those benefits. So maybe it may be the same there as well. I don't know.
At least Examine were suggesting you could do the 2,650 milligrams of aged garlic extract. So I guess you're still getting the garlic in that, whereas they're removing the caffeine, which is not part of the coffee bean. Like if you just removed the coffee bean, like decaf, I imagine that might still have the health benefits, maybe, because maybe it's not the caffeine that's providing the health benefits, but it's the coffee bean itself, whereas this is just garlic and they're just taking garlic. They're not removing anything.
I know that I'm so much of devil's advocate here the entire time. With it, when it comes to decaffeinated coffee, though, it goes through a chemical process, and often that chemical process is then also breaking things down. So it could then also there be that you are actually causing more harm than you do good, for example.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the research says to decaffeinated coffee, but I ain't got much time for decaf coffee, to be honest.
Going off on tangents here all the time.
But hopefully you get better soon, and yeah, I guess you're just moving. Do you make any adjustments to training, or is it just pretty much as is?
Yeah, I started with a little bit of lower volume overall. Okay. And as I said in I think the last or second to last podcast, I wanted to now push more often closer to failure. And that, for obvious reasons, is I don't think the best way to go about it right now. So I held myself a little bit back also in terms of volume, and then ramp it up whenever I start to feel good again.
Yeah, that makes sense. Very cool.
What about you, Steve? Because I know that you're right now resting as well. It's not about kind of sickness, because you never really get sick.
No.
Maybe you're just like throwing it over to Germany here. I don't know. Anthrax through the mail, sending it over to me, something like this. But you never really get sick. But you are still taking a deload right now, still taking rest time. That is because...
Yeah, so in terms of sickness, I actually did get sick. I think it was like I got sick for about a week, and then I think I got rid of it and got sick again. But I never get sick. Well, very rarely. Let's touch wood. The last time I was sick enough not to go to the gym was COVID. And before that, I don't think there was anything else that ever. I very rarely get sick enough not to go to the gym. So I don't really get very sick. You're right, completely. Which says a few things. Obviously, don't have kids, and I'm not in touch with many people through my day at all. And I imagine there must be some sort of genetic component to like how strong your immune system is. For example, like Charlotte. She fucking never gets sick, and she's in contact with people all the time because they're going to work. Like, people at work get sick. She's not sick. She hasn't taken a sick day from work, like, in the entire time I've known her, which is coming to 8 years. Well, actually, no, over 8 years now. So it's just absurd. Like, there must be some sort of genetic component there.
I could imagine, though, that it's also then dependent on how close and touch you are with other people. Because during my time when I was working in an office and I didn't have any kind of kids, I was never sick as well. And I was still training freaking hard because that was my powerlifting days where I was sometimes having cold-like symptoms, but these were due to overreaching effects instead of kind of a sickness. And there I was never really sick, even though there was an open office, where there were just like, I don't know, dozens of people around me, never really got sick. And with the kids though, I am like the human garbage can at home. Whenever there's food left on the table, and even so often it's just like a bite or maybe like a spoon of something, then often I take it. And that has been often then already been in the mouth. So not the entire food, but they taken a bite maybe of it, or the spoon
not like
itself.
A bird.
Exactly.
Spit it back.
And I could then see that this is one of the reasons why I'm actually getting sick more often than Katie. And this is just a theory that I'm having, and I'm going to test it.
I was going to say.
So I'm not going to be the human trash can anymore at home.
Now it's Katie's job.
Now it's exactly what I was thinking.
But yes, you're right in terms of this week. It all kind of perfectly aligned, actually, because basically a deload this week, and I managed to book myself in for a tattoo, which is a tachi on my left forearm on the inside. So I'm pretty stoked about it. I'm happy I traveled a little bit further for this one because the guy, as I was saying to Pascal via voice note, he's like a complete weeb, really into anime, loves it. And we just spoke about kind of anime the entire time. And I realize I'm still way in my newbie phase with it because he was like, I've watched over 40 different anime. And I was like, I don't think I've watched 10. And I don't think you can count like Pokemon and like Digimon and stuff like this. So I'm slowly making my way in there. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. But I realize how convenient it is to have a tattoo shop 5 minutes away, because traveling there it was meant to be 3 hours. It took 3 hours to get in there, but getting home yesterday took 5 hours. And I stayed the night before. I did some check-ins in the hotel, and as Pascal, check-ins via hotel is awful. But it was good. It was good, and I'm glad I got it. So yeah, deloading this week, and then I just roll into. I can't believe it will already be my third mesocycle since mini cutting. So I'm almost
time flies by. That's so crazy, man.
The peak body weight I hit in my pre-mini cut was, I think, 193 pounds or something. And I hit the highest I've hit so far is 192. So I'm actually right on track. I was a little bit worried I was falling behind, so I had to start pushing food up to 39,000, basically to 4,000 calories now, which is where I got to at the end of my last mass. And I think I'll probably have to breach the 4,000 calorie mark to start pushing to like the mid 190s. But I'm excited for it, and I think the condition I'm holding at this point is pretty decent. And like we spoke about before, if I stay on top of my food, I don't do anything silly, maybe I don't eat something, weird, and like, I think I just have to be a bit careful in that regard. I like taking a flexible approach to my nutrition in that I don't have any foods that are off limits and such. But I think sometimes that can bite me in the ass, where I eat something maybe that just doesn't agree with my stomach. And then if I at all feel, bloated and nauseous from that, it's already like layered on top of so much food that just makes it so much harder to get in stuff. So I have to be careful. I'm kind of taking notes. If a day I wake up and I'm nauseous, I'm like, what did I eat yesterday that maybe was different that could have set that up? So maybe I'll avoid that. I haven't necessarily found anything just yet, but that's Steve, what I'm kind of thinking through.
I know both of us, we have tracked Fibre in the past. Are you still tracking that?
It's tracked by default, because it's in my fitness pal, but I don't check it on a regular basis. But I say that I do check it. Actually, I do semi-check it on a regular basis because I don't want it to be too low, and it's very rarely too low, but I also mostly check it so it doesn't go too high, especially because I'm having one of my meals at the moment, which has become a standard, is some soy-based kind of meat product, and that has like all the vegan fucking fake meats have so much flipping fiber, so you can't have too much of it. So I have that, like a serving of that with a tin of tuna to make up the protein, and like some mixed frozen veg and like a packet of like cheap Aldi kind of prepped rice that I don't even have to worry about, microwave it, mush it all together with ketchup, and it goes down fine. But that meal has quite a lot of fiber in it, so I have to be careful with the rest of the day that I eat, because even like malt loaf, which is like that fruit bread, I didn't realize until I looked at it, I was like, man, this has a lot of fiber in it, I guess because it has lots of dried fruit in it and it just adds up. So I say I don't track it, but I do keep an eye on it just so it doesn't go above. I try and keep it like 50 or below, because if I go above 50, it just starts with the quantity of food along with that just starts being a bit much. But I don't want it below 30 at any point. I think that's just too far down the other end. But I don't think I'm really at risk of going below 30 unless I have a weird day of eating.
I think that the vast majority of people who are into fitness and eating well, and especially are having a caloric intake such as yourself, they don't really need to worry about the minimum intake, but they should worry more so about a maximum intake, as long as they are still having a relatively healthy kind of style of eating. It's just something that I thought about with one of my athletes, because here on the check-in today, she was quite constipated. And this is also something that we've been talking about in regards to then having oats and all that kind of stuff, especially when you're then a smaller, so relatively speaking, female individual, it really easily gets up there, especially when your caloric intake is lower. You need to make up to feel relatively satiated up with vegetables, and it ramps up very quickly, you know. But it's a metric that I'm not really keeping a close eye on anymore. It's a metric that I use the same way as training. So in the sense of like, you tell me, did it feel productive or not? If it didn't feel productive, we can probably do something else here, or train harder or something like this. And if it did feel productive, perfect, right? And if you are crippling sore now all the time, that's probably too much, right? So I mostly just base it off of the overall well-being of someone. Same goes for myself. And then just throw things out that may cause then stomach distress, for example, or when you're overly hungry all the time, bump up the vegetable intake, and by that often the fiber follows as well. Instead of tracking the number, it's more like a sensation I'm tracking.
What I tend to have in my spreadsheets, because unless someone's a unique individual like I am, most people are on the side of they need to make sure they're hitting a minimum, and then, like you said, a lot of, like, it varies person to person. Like I have some vegan clients who have a lot of food, and they've dealt with high fiber diets for so long, they're kind of adapted to that, and their body can process it. So for most people, I just have like a checkbox of, are you hitting the minimum plus? And they tick it or they don't. And hopefully they're ticking it most of the time. And once they're meeting a minimum, I'm not too worried about the maximum. And then they'll report to me if they have any kind of gastric distress. Then I'm like, okay, what did you eat? And sometimes, I don't know, the fiber, it also kind of depends where you get the fiber from, because sometimes someone's fiber will be really high. And I'm like, so how many protein bars did you eat today? And they'll be like, I ate like, because I know they eat protein bars semi-regularly. And they're like, I was out and about, so I had 3 or 4. And I'm like, right, we know why your fiber was so high and why your stomach felt all that iffy.
No, absolutely. No, I was just interested in whether you still keep an eye on it or not.
Yeah, I think it's exactly like you said there. I keep an eye on it for the reason that I don't want it to go too high. And I've become better at accepting that I want to eat a certain way in terms of like that more kind of wholesome, minimally processed food. But I'm getting better at just being like, right, no, I have to have this other way of eating, and it's fine. I'm going to meet all the minimums for sure because the quantity is so high. I'm slowly getting better at that, and I think that's why my appetite has been better, because I thought I'd done the whole like more palatable foods, less fiber. And I think always I was in my head trying to keep this kind of fruit and veg in there, thinking that was somehow going to benefit my gut health and stuff. And it's like, you can still meet like a decent amount, but you don't have to go like crazy like you used to try and do so. So like more fruit, more smoothies, that's been helping a lot.
Do you not see the progress you would like? Are you sick of writing your own programs? Or perhaps you need some accountability in order to stick with a plan? Then it's time to start working with us. We at Revive Stronger offer a truly personalized coaching service. You'll get more than just an email with some macros or random cookie cutter program. With Revive Stronger, you will be the center of our attention. You will receive your own fully individualized training protocol alongside a customized nutritional strategy. We created the coaching around your needs, wants, personal preferences, and your own unique lifestyle. Every single week, we delve into your program in order to make appropriate adjustments so that we get the most out of your time and the best possible outcome. We help both female and male athletes to seriously change their body composition by adding more muscle mass and decreasing fat tissue. No matter if you're a competitive bodybuilder or just want to look better, if you need help with your progress and taking your physique to the next level, our coaching is for you. It's time to make a change. Sign up today and let's revive stronger.
By the way, what happened to digestive enzymes people were promoting like a year ago?
Actually, someone did. I think someone recommended. Sometimes people slide into my DMs on Instagram. They're like, "Oh, I had this, enzyme, and it changed my life or whatever." But yeah, people are. Yeah, you need to. I think you said you wanted to do a piece of content on like all the fads that of came and left. Yeah, and I even forget because they've come and gone.
Yeah, and so many were just like around for maybe 2-3 weeks. Yeah, and then some stuck around for a little bit longer, but a common trend amongst all of them is that they disappeared at some point because it turned out that that it wasn't as great as many people actually promoted it to be. Yeah.
And it's a good reminder that like people come back to the basics, and that's why we so often just promote the basics, but particularly I think in natural bodybuilding.
And that's why we don't have any kind of big sponsors as well that we can just like, I don't know, affiliate links to some kind of products.
The number of CBD oil emails I used to get, actually they've died down completely. Man. But I think it was off the back of Miguel did that article on CBD oil on our website, and he was basically saying that it's not evidence-based. And we still had so many people just seeing that it was there and emailing us like, oh, we see that you're talking about CBD. Let us send you some. It's like, fuck's sake. You did not read that article. Because if you did, you would not be sending us a message.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I think in natural bodybuilding, like I can see more on the enhanced side that it's almost, they must look at some of us naturals and like just laugh at us at like the fact that we're looking at like supplements that are like, I don't know, what was the testosterone or whatever, like they're just like, you fucking natties, like you're trying to do everything to get like a drug but not do the drug. It's like you're not going to get anything from any of this shit. Whereas us are like, we're any little thing we can possibly grasp that could improve our kind of chances of growing muscle, we're kind of all, like a lot of us are all over it. And I understand that, but also it's nice to remind yourself that like just time doing the basics is really what's providing the results.
Yeah, and I think that with time also comes maturity as well, because in the past I've consumed so many supplements and now it's just nothing really anymore. Like, of course, the typical suspects, so to speak, but these are also the boring ones. And I even made a post about it over on Instagram that supplements, when you're expecting to really feel the effects of them, then they are not supplements anymore probably, then they are probably prescription drugs.
Yeah. Actually, a client checked in with me today and he was just saying he stopped taking creatine because he thought he noticed some hair loss, and he was like, I understand that may not be a thing, but do I need to take creatine? Am I missing out on much? And I was like, first of all, I don't think like the hair loss, there's any strong evidence to support that. But if you feel that way, you're honestly not missing out on a huge payback, because at the end of the day, creatine is a supplement. It's our most powerful one as a natural athlete, but still at the end of the day, you're not really going to notice if you take it or you don't. And that just speaks volumes to every other supplement that people try and like use to get a kick up.
Pathetic, isn't it? Like creatine, the effects of creatine, like it's the most researched and the most powerful for natty people, and yet it doesn't do jack shit in comparison to like proper drugs.
Which is probably why on the enhanced side, you never hear people, like you just don't really hear them talking about like, oh yeah, take creatine.
That's true. That's true.
Because I mean, that's still going to do fuck all for you.
Yeah.
So.
Or kind of, I don't know, you need to actually then spray your pillow with a lavender spray or anything alike. No, they are just like, I don't know, there's probably also some kind of drug that just knocks them out so that they are sleeping appropriately. Or no,
Right.
they're those kind of masks. What is it again?
The sleep apnea.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
their necks are so thick. They have to
Exactly.
have-
That's something that you need. Because Charlie said that it really enhances his sleep quality and it makes him feel so good the next day, so well rested. So maybe this is something that we should kick off in the natural scene as well, because I don't know, there was something like blood glucose disposal agents, and then tracking your blood glucose as well as a natty. So why not then have a machine for sleep apnea when you're a natty as well? Come on.
Success leaves clues. If they're
Exactly.
using a sleep app and they're jacked, they must get jacked by using the sleep app.
Exactly. Maybe we are now promoting something that really does enhance your sleep, because I would be very curious to know what it's like to sleep with it, getting the oxygen like throughout the night and
Yeah. But I imagine as well, for me, I don't like sleeping with earplugs or an eye mask or anything. I have tried taping my mouth, by the way. I've done that.
so that no one is actually putting a penis inside your mouth in the middle of the night, teabagging you.
You have to tape the butthole as well. It's got any hole.
The process is always so much before bedtime. It is actually getting tiresome. Charlotte, stop it.
Can't leave dildos lying around the house. It's just dangerous. But no, that was because mouth breathing is meant to be bad for when you're sleeping. You better nose breathe is better for health and for higher quality sleep.
I mean, I hate those fucking mouth breathers.
Yeah,
They
that's
are
from
just a
Stranger
different
Things,
kind.
right?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
But anyway, I don't mouth breathe anyway, so I didn't need to do that. I don't know where I was going with this, but I can't have anything on me, basically. I can't sleep well. I have to have, that's why I use white noise and try and have blackout blinds, because I just can't sleep comfortably with stuff on me. So imagine for me, at least, a sleep app would be like horrendous. I'd be like, fucking get this thing off. I imagine if you're like,
to
lie on your back, you could enjoy it.
For me, it's actually funny because I've gotten used to wearing those gadgets, such as earplugs. I have like my bracelets as well. That is more so for jaw health, and because I was just crunching my teeth all the time, and I need that. And I was even I've forgotten that when we visited Vienna, and it felt so odd to me because I'm so used to actually having that in my mouth whenever I'm going to sleep. Same goes for the earplugs, that I can't really fall asleep without them anymore. So, it's funny that you have it the other way around.
Yeah, maybe I could get used to them. That's a good point. I'm also a very hot sleeper, so anything like covering my face, like an eye mask,
Didn't you get like a mattress that cools you?
No, I have looked into the chili pad and there's an Ooler as well, but they cost so much. But they probably have paid off by now if I'd actually invested in it. But they're like thousands.
Yeah, that's the thing. So Steven, one of my athletes, shout out once again to Steven. He just got promoted and probably will even get promoted another time. And he is working in a mattress store. And he actually got Hunter, one of my other athletes, so shout out to him, to buy a new mattress there. And he reported that it was playing such a big difference in his sleep quality. And once again, it really makes just a lot of sense. You're spending so much time in bed, so why not get something that really is first and foremost expensive in the initial moment, but if you're spending kind of 1/3 of your time there anyway, and you can have like proper sleep and by that increase your maybe even longevity in life and also the quality of life, why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah, I notice it every time. I think most people can agree with this. If you've got a good bed at home and when you try and sleep elsewhere, that's the first thing you notice. It's not the sheets. It's not like the light coming in. It's like you lie on the bed and you're like, is this fucking rock solid or soft as shit? And you're just like, why is this not the mattress I have at home?
I sometimes wonder though, whether it is simply because we're getting old and we are getting nitpicky, because I always take my pillow with me whenever Katie and I are traveling as well. And she does so as well, because without the pillow, I know that it's going to be a shitty night. And the thing is that when you look back, when you were younger, especially like adolescence years, right? You could sleep wherever you wanted. I still remember times when I was around with my band where we just slept on the floor without anything else. It was awful, of course, but you still were falling asleep. Now I would probably just stay awake the entire night.
I think there's something too as well. If you have a few of those things that you have at home and you can take them with you somewhere, you kind of get over that slight barrier of it being a different place. It feels a little bit more like you're at home, and I think there's something to psychologically just being able to sleep a bit better that way. So that's why I posted a story with my dildo, for fuck's sake. No, the tape.
Just to go back
just
to
in
that
case
one.
someone tries to get in and, I don't know, nightmares about this thing. No, the white noise machine, because when I turn that on, it's like, oh, I'm at home. When I close my eyes, I'm at home.
Oh, I didn't know that it's a proper machine. I thought that you have maybe an app installed on your phone or so.
No, it's like a little. One of my old athletes got it for me. It's like a little box that you just plug into the. I actually took it with me to Vienna, but I didn't use it there because I don't think I did use it. No, I didn't use it there because it was quiet where we were. So I was just like, don't know, part of me just didn't want to use it. I don't know why I didn't use it there. Actually, it's strange.
Mike did though.
Oh,
Mike
he
had
used white noise.
Yeah, but he had an app, I think, installed.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have my phone in the bedroom for a variety of reasons. I think I just end up using it too much. So the white noise machine's quite handy. Super cheap on Amazon. I don't know what one it is if anyone wants it. I don't have an affiliate link. It was sent to me by someone. So
if someone wants to, though, provide us with products for improving our sleep, we are very, very happy about this. I would definitely promote it to sell our souls out here.
Like some anti-dildo underwear.
Possibly, yes. I think it's a good idea. I'm not waking up with kind of butt pain, so I don't know what whether Katie is doing anything wrong. I don't know if it's a normal thing in relationships. That just speaks for an unhealthy relationship if you're not having butt problems or so.
It's like, I've heard that spiders crawl into your mouth at night because it's warm and that you swallow multiple spiders through the year. I don't know if this is true.
It's amazing.
Because you wake up, you swallow apparently, so you never know if you actually have... You're getting protein through the night. You don't know about it.
I would assume that it's probably true. Yeah.
Some amino acids. It's only good for growth.
Exactly. And who doesn't like a spider in their mouth? I'm right now, once again, watching for the third time through It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And it's just, that reminds me of like eating spiders, of Charlie, one of the main characters there, who's that type of person who's kind of into eating spiders and stuff like that.
I haven't seen it. Is it like an American sitcom?
It's one of the best, honestly. This is my sense of humor. So if anyone is wondering who or wants to understand who I am, how I tick when it comes to humor, watch this show from beginning to end, and then you understand how I'm thinking and why I'm sometimes saying the things that I do. And I have lots of other things that I'm not even speaking out loudly whenever we are here on the podcast, because I think that it's maybe going too far.
Have you ever heard Jimmy Carr?
No.
You might like his stuff. He does a lot of lots of sex jokes. He goes into rape jokes. Like he does the whole gambit.
That's good.
So yeah, you might like his stuff. I was just on my Spotify and I was like, I want to listen to something. I just searched him on Spotify and he has like some of his like 5 minutes just sketches about random shit.
Yeah.
And I was like laughing out loud on the tube and stuff, and people look at me like, what the fuck's wrong with this guy? I was just
absolutely.
Like, these
I can
like
see that.
completely inappropriate jokes while all these people are around me. I was just like, this is amazing.
I can see
so
that.
You might like his stuff.
Yeah.
And I've been told I look like him.
This is one of those things, for example, we've talked about dubbing, where the jokes simply don't work, you know? You can't just like directly translate it, and it just is as funny as it was when the actors said it. And I wanted to bring Katie to watch it, but it's too complicated for her to understand and get the jokes, because it is sometimes a little bit messy when they are just like trying to speak over another and stuff like this. And on German, it simply doesn't really work. And it's unfortunate, you know, because I just find it so funny and I can't get her to watch it because on English, she doesn't understand it. On German, it doesn't really work. Oh.
Is her humor the same as yours?
I think mine is a little bit nastier, I think.
Darker, yeah.
Yeah.
Because me and Charlotte will watch shows.
But it is pretty much the same. I mean, yeah. So whenever I do kind of very dark things at home or say or mention very dark things, she's also laughing because it's just like so ridiculously dark that it's funny then after all.
Just because me and Charlotte will watch shows and we will laugh at different parts. Like she'll laugh, burst out laughing. I'm like, it wasn't funny. And then I'll burst out laughing. She's like, that's not even meant to be funny. And I'm just like, it's just so, it's very rare we actually laugh at the same point. It's very strange. But she always says I laugh at the inappropriate things. I find inappropriate things very funny. Like
me too.
Someone just gets their head chopped off and I'm like, Fah! Where she's like, that's meant to be sad. I'm like, no, it's hilarious. Like,
no, absolutely. Absolutely. So shall we move over to, we have one question only.
Yes.
But I wanted to also say thank you very much for everyone who commented over the past couple of days and weeks, once again, over on YouTube. It's always appreciated. And also at the same time, in the last video, I don't know whether we said anything there, but we got a lot of love. And
I saw that too.
Maybe it was just like random this time, but I honestly, it really means so much to me to see those things. And what I've realized, Steve, is we haven't really gotten any kind of negative comments in a very long time.
Oh, that's nice.
And I do remember the times where, for example, I got shit for not making it to stage, for example, at first. And then I made it to stage, didn't even look shabby or so. And that couldn't really be used as a target anymore. So it's kind of like a bingo card. At first, you have so many vulnerable spots that people can exploit, and they jump and latch onto it, right? Give you a hard time for this. All right, then you cross it out because you took care of that. Then they are latching onto the next possible target. And I have the feeling with you, you've gotten so much bigger. You've proven that ARIA works and all that kind of stuff, you know? You don't really have any kind of massive bullseye on you anymore. And the same goes for me. I mean, there are a couple of things that I can think of, but it seems like people aren't really jumping on those things anymore and give us a hard time, which is something that I very much like to see, because we are not here to, I don't know, be a target for someone else's anger or hate towards the world. We just want to share our journey, right? And it's amazing to see that we were maybe able to, I don't know, take away or cross out some of the bullseye targets that we had in the past.
Yeah, part of me also hopes it's just, I don't know if our audience has also matured, like some of those listeners who used to think that way, continue to digest our content and they're like, oh, now I don't know, they've just matured and they're happier people. Hopefully just the world is happier, so we get less negative comments. But I also like the idea of us being, we're not invulnerable, but I like the idea of invulnerability. And I also appreciate like credit to you completely, because it's so easy when you do get these negative comments to then take it and just be like, oh, like to take it away and to push you into like, I don't know, not depression, but into the direction they want to take you. They want you to fail. Whereas you kind of took it in the other way and just like, if anything, used it as fuel to just keep going. And that's something you've always said to me in terms of like sticking to my guns, in terms of like the practices that are working. Like, don't just change. And we can say this is like just feedback for the audience too. If something's working for you, like well, and you've got good rationale behind it, don't change it just because of peer pressure or something like this, which we've certainly both experienced. So yeah, the love was appreciated. I also saw it. Actually, I have a message screenshotted because a listener sent it to me saying they enjoyed the episode, and I was going to send it to you. So I still have that to send to you too. So no, I absolutely appreciate the love. And it seems like people have enjoyed the Q&A segment as well. So not that we have a huge amount of questions, but we still get to it. Yeah.
No, keep the love coming, and also keep the hate coming as well. We just delete that one.
We need more hate. Come on.
No, please don't. It causes anxiety. With that being said, it is once again Elijah Richards, the person that we had also last week when it comes to questions. And this is, I would say, I know the answers already to this one. So, Steve, next question. Would you rather gain an inch on your arms and lose an inch on your calves, or vice versa, gain an inch on your calves and lose an inch on your arms? And I think that I know the answer for both of us. I know the answer for myself, but I very much assume that I know the answer from you as well.
I don't actually know what you're assuming for me, because for you, you're losing an inch on your calves and you're gaining it on your arms. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think 99% of the audience will be saying the
for
same.
you, I would think that it's the other way around. Losing an inch on the arms and gaining an inch on the calves, because you said in the past that you need to do a lot of work for the calves, and we all know that your arms are freaking massive, and taking 1 inch away from them would probably not even hurt you at all.
So I did think that, but then I also thought, fuck the calves and just get stupidly big arms.
That's true.
So part of me is just like, fuck it, let's just get obscene arms and screw the calves even more.
That's true.
But, probably not the most rational decision. I don't know.
That's a good rationale though, because if you have like one of those very freakishly body parts, it just draws the attention to it. Especially you want to more so draw the attention to the upper body, I would say, because of the frame as well. Fuck the calves.
But then I would be that meme of like the guy with chicken legs. Like I wear shorts and my calves would just be like
another
pins.
That's true.
But then all I need to do is strap on that orthotic device that they had in that study, just stretch my calf for an hour a day, calves, sorry, and then they'll grow 15%, which might be an inch, I don't know. And then I'm back to where I was. Maybe, I don't know.
When I was younger, Steve, you still probably remember this. There was a time where we had those kind of TV channels where they just sold a bunch of products. And do you still remember the app belt, the electronic app belt? The course kind of like
that was even that recently. I don't know how
due to Ronaldo, right?
Yes, the last few years. I was going to say Ronaldo was popularizing it, which is a fucking piss take.
Yeah, and just knowing that we are so old that we remember that this is just something that came to the forefront again, and that was already a case like ages ago.
Fads.
And I had that when I was, I don't know, 12 or 13.
You had one?
Yeah. And I strapped it on each and every single day. And just take a look at my shitty abs. Nothing really. I'm the best proof that this shit doesn't really work. Because I trained those every day.
Oh, fuck. Pascal, this happened, and I think my mum returned it in the end, but my mum bought one of these, and you know when you see someone you love do something that you know is fundamentally just like it's not going to work. Like she spent money, like my heart just like I just felt so bad. Like I wanted to cry. Like it just makes me sad to see someone I love and care so much about to be fooled and duped into but she's done it out of like scammed. But she's done it almost out of desperation because she feels like like all that stuff isn't working for her. I'm pretty sure I haven't seen her ever use it, and I haven't seen it in the house. Maybe I was wrong seeing it, but I think I saw it, and I was super sad to see it. So no one buy it because you make us sad.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, they promoted it big time. And back then it was a little bit of a different thing. And then of course, due to marketing with Ronaldo and all that kind of stuff, you know, but I just wanted to come clean here that I owned it when I was very young. The funny thing is that was also during a time when my mom, she got me some dumbbells. The only thing that I was doing when I was younger was dumbbell curls. And actually I was during my not adolescence yet, but kind of in the transition, so puberty and all that kind of stuff. I was known for the guy who actually had good biceps, because the only thing that I did was kind of dumbbell curls. And also the ab thing, but the ab thing of course didn't really turn out to work that well.
Yeah. That's
should have stuck with it with the dumbbell curls. My arms would now be that big.
I was one of the first guys to get into the gym out of like my school and stuff. I started when I was like not even 16. And so I had the nickname in football, because everyone has a nickname. I was nicknamed Big Steve because I was one of the bigger guys.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that didn't... I was just such a slow burn that everyone caught me up and overtook me once they got into the gym. Oh, dear.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember really liking that nickname, Big Steve. I'm slowly getting back there.
You can still get there. I mean, you can still get there. You are there. I mean, to be honest, it's like I said already the last time that we spoke here on air, and also the pictures over that I still have on my phone from Dust Gym. I think that you are very big, and I think that this is something that maybe you have a little bit of I wouldn't say body dysmorphia, but where you really don't see what other people are seeing.
Yeah.
which is kind of more so a clinical term for body dysmorphia, having a skewed perception of your own looks and appearances.
Yeah, I think I get very caught up in my structure and that holding me back big time. And people tell me that it's not that bad, and then I'm like, you're just being nice. But I think you probably have it. I think we all have it to a certain degree, but I think you probably have it too about yourself.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
But you've got better, hugely better, actually.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. I think it's so funny because we've already brought it up a couple of times in the past, but the Improvement Season podcast is such a great place. I haven't listened to any kind of podcast episodes from ourselves from back then, but if ever I want to, I can just look back over the past years of how I was back then and reflect upon it and just completely made a 180 when it comes to my entire life. My entire life. So that's cool.
The thing I always find is how your English has just completely transformed. I don't even remember it being, and I wouldn't say it was bad then, but compared to how you speak now, you speak as if you're just English.
Oh, yeah. I mean, of course, you can still hear that I'm not in
the accent,
the UK and stuff like this, but it's also because I'm not really trying to pretend to be someone, and I'm not actively trying to change my accent. Whereas some people, you may remember and have heard it. I had it in class at evening school. There was this one chick. She was, for 1 year, she was living in the US. She came back and she was thinking very highly of her English skills. And she was also then really speaking that very clear accent of really trying to pretend as if she's kind of a native speaker, which is totally fine, I think. I mean, I would love to have a British accent, to be honest, because it just sounds amazing. But I can't be bothered in just trying actively to put an accent on the way that I'm speaking, because it just tires me out so much more.
Yeah.
Because English speaking is already not my mother's tongue. It doesn't really require as much effort anymore as it did in the past. But now actively trying to actually put on kind of an accent for then all of my athletes and stuff. Wow,
Yeah.
Tired.
I am terrible at accents. And languages was my worst subject at school, which I might have said before. So I'm always so impressed. If someone can speak more than one language, I'm already impressed. But when people can speak 6 languages or even understand them, I'm just what the hell? You are something else. So my hat's off to anyone who can speak more than one language or understand more than one language, because I cannot.
Yeah. So, sorry guys, I realized that this podcast episode, we haven't really touched on so many fitness subjects. I think to some extent with the sickness, adjustments, when it comes to fats, supplementation, all that kind of stuff. I hope that there were some takeaways and all that kind of stuff. Right now, we are just deep in an off season, and that just sometimes happens that we are then talking about other things except for lifting and nutrition and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, hopefully there were some take-homes. I know we went on some, I'm going to continue to say tangents, not side tangents. I don't know why that became a bad habit. And and like you said, it's the off-season, and I think it's actually a reflection of how an off-season should be, or improvement season even should be, and it isn't continuously being hyper-focused on bodybuilding to a crazy degree. That should actually be quite a rare thing. And this is the time to enjoy other aspects of life and have those kind of bodybuilding on the back burner in a sense, whilst not letting it, it's still a huge part of everything we're doing, right? But we're not focusing on it a huge amount. It's kind of just happening. We know what we need to do on a daily basis. We get it done. We tick the boxes. And that comes back to the fads. We aren't continuously searching for the next fad, the next study to come out. The long muscle length stuff is quite interesting. And I wonder if there's probably people taking it a little bit too far potentially. And some people will probably jump on that a bit. But it's even that, that's probably the most exciting thing that's happened in our space for a while. It's oh, look, it confirms a little bit more that stretch under load is important. It's comes back a little bit to full range of motion, but okay, yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So guys, I would appreciate, once again, if you're commenting in the comment section below, if you're hitting the like, subscribe button if you haven't done so already, and give us some love, give us some support. It's always appreciated, honestly. And leave some, once again, questions for them, maybe the next episode. Other than that, I would now say that this is the end for this podcast episode. And then I have something else. So feel free to tune out, because it's not about fitness necessarily anymore. It's more like a little bit gossipy. Not necessary, but to some extent. So feel free to switch off or stick around really until the end. Because Steve, this is more of a tragic news, to be honest.
I'm like, I don't know what this is, guys. So I don't know what's coming.
So as I told you, I was at the gym. And when I came back home, I heard something, news on the radio, that a private jet crashed. And it turned out that it was my old boss with his girlfriend and the 2 kids of her, that they crashed at the coast of Puerto Rico. It's so crazy, because it really hit me hard to some extent. Not hit me hard, but I knew this guy, right? Not as well as other people for sure. And I knew her because she was working at the office as well. So I had interactions with them. And then you hear on the radio that the plane crashed and that they are lost. They can't find the corpses and stuff, that they are just gone and disappeared. But they only found a corpse of a kid, and also I think 1 pilot or so. And it's tragic, right? And the reason why I'm bringing it up is because he was, I would now say it, because they discontinued the search for them, because that happened like last Saturday, that it crashed. And he was the owner of the biggest fitness chain in Europe.
Oh, wow.
Rainer Schaller.
Oh.
From McFit. McFit, John Reed, Jim, what is it? High Five, and also Gold's Gym Germany now. And his plane crashed. And it's tragic, because, I mean, there are other, of course, accidents happening daily. It's not that I don't feel for that, but I just realized that it's something completely different if you have interacted with those people.
Yeah.
And it's not that I had a huge, massive connection with those, but just the thought alone that the mom with the kids are sitting on a plane and they know they are going to die in the next couple of minutes. It's just destroying me from the inside. And this is something that I never wish anyone else to experience, honestly.
And you have, I was going to say you've reignited my fear of flying, but this is the second moment where I've heard of something bad about flying in the last few weeks. And the other one, which was through Danny, which was basically just bad turbulence. Though.
Yeah.
But man, flying and being out of control, and I can totally see why you feel particularly hit by it. I would say probably, obviously them, but also the kids.
Yeah,
too.
it's more the thought of the parents, because something like this could have easily also happened while you're sitting in a car or so, right? The fact alone that someone passed away is tragic. That is something that is not up for debate. But especially like me as a father, ever since I'm a father, I can have a very, very hard time also watching movies where there's kind of a bond between parents and kids. It just hits me,
Yeah.
And just the thought, I have those, I'm imagining sitting on the plane, seeing my kids and look at them in the eyes and see that they are massively concerned, that they are in panic, and you are in the plane and you can't do anything to help them and to rescue them. And that their lives are going to end now. Yeah. And that is, holy shit, that's some hard shit to swallow. And
it's like a scene in a movie.
Yeah, exactly. And then knowing them, of course, makes it a little bit more close to you. I can't help it, but it's just the way that we are as humans.
Yeah, it's like you can look at the statistics of how rare this is, but when it happens to someone very close to you, you can quickly be like, well, that could have easily been me.
Yeah.
Whereas, could have been anyone.
Yeah. And the thing is that, just to give perspective on things, Rainer Schaller, his working place was 5 seats away from me, right? So he was basically sitting next to me, and she was working, I can't even recall, human resources, I think, which was a little bit further away from my desk. But You work together with them for over 2 years, right? And it's crazy. It's crazy to then hear it on the news.
Yeah.
It's some crazy shit.
Damn. Yeah. I have nothing to say apart from
No.
sorry. Yeah, I can see why you have just like big feelings of empathy towards that situation.
Yeah. Anyway, once
We
again,
need a happy note now.
yeah. The happy note is we are all going to die at some point anyway.
Go watch Lost and maybe you have hope that they're still alive.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe they are now living in a very lovely village where there's a smoke monster, a polar bear, and all that kind of stuff. So, guys, on that note, we'll leave it here. Speaking about dark humor and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So, I guess I'll speak to you soon. Cheers.
Right.
Losing weight fast while maintaining muscle mass. Sounds too good to be true, doesn't it? It isn't though. It's reality and we know how to do it. And we will help you achieve this. The Minicut Movement is an 8-week fat loss program to make you lose a huge chunk of fat while maintaining muscle mass at the same time. We will support you from the beginning to the end so that you see the results you would like to and come out of it much stronger. You'll receive a fully automated spreadsheet that is based on your nutritional needs. You can choose between 6 different male and female training templates. Over 30 videos will guide you through each and every single step of the Minicut so that you're getting the most out of your journey and that you always know what to do. But the best thing is that you can start whenever you want. The Minicut Movement is open 24/7. So if you want to learn more or you're ready to sign up, hit the link in the description below. So let's revive stronger together.